Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery.
Welcome to the Friends in Recovery show with Jersey Ed. I'm your host, Jersey Ed, along with my co-host, Buckeye Bambi. What's going on, Bambi?
Hey, 21 days till game day.
21 days to game day. What, is the Minnesota Vikings playing?
Oh, hell. Who's that? No, the Ohio State Buckeyes versus Notre Dame at the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio.
There you go. There you go. And they are not a sponsor yet. So
well, I'll work on that one really hard.
Yeah, you work on that one, Bambi. So we like to welcome anybody new to the show. Welcome all of you Facebook people. Bambi, how was your week? How did you do? I seen you on a lot of meetings. Your recovery's going well. We had a great meeting this morning, a great beginners meeting this morning, right? That's
what lightens my heart. I wait every week. I mean, I run meetings through the week, if someone can't host or something, but my weekend on my morning meeting on Saturday mornings just starts my whole weekend off with like such a good sense of joy and happiness in my heart. And it's growing. We started out with like 2-3 people in the meeting. Yeah. Now we're getting between 12 and 14 every time. It's amazing. So all of you join me. Morning Glories, beginners meeting. I'll put it in the show notes.
8 a.m. Eastern time, and you work it backwards from there, guys. So, and Bambi, I gotta say that you stepped up, and this Friends in Recovery communities is growing, and partially because of you. Definitely, you've been helping us out. You've taken your time, and guys, she's volunteering. This isn't a paid position. This is just a this is something that we're doing for free, guys, service work, and also the other thing too is that donations are important, right? Because to keep all this stuff going, we need donations. And I don't want to get on here every week begging people for donations, but I'm begging for people for donations because this is how it goes, right? And this is how we keep this thing afloat. You don't want to know. Pay Bambi, she's worth it. Carl said. He also said,
yeah, Carl.
He also said morning glory hole. No, Carl, you're in the wrong chat room, Carl. But please, guys, reach out and make a donation. Venmo us at Friends in Recovery Enterprises under business, or you can write a check to, I don't know if anybody has checks anymore. You can write a check to Friends in Recovery Enterprises, P.O. Box 1551. Johns Island, South Carolina, 29457. And I want to just take a minute to talk about donations here, because this doesn't run for free. We have, how many meetings a week do we have, Bambi?
Oh gosh, we almost have 3 a day.
Almost 3 a day. That costs money to run those, right? And we're going to be doing some fundraisers here and there to keep everything going. And I want to thank all the donors out there who makes this show possible, right? You and I come on here, right? We do what we have to do. We put our service work in, and we have people like Carl that come on and kind of help us out as far as Facebook Live goes, and whoever else shows up here. But when it comes down to it, you guys help us run this. You're part of this when you make that donation, and please, if you guys can, just whatever you can send, $1, $5, 50 cents, it all helps, $100,000. We're looking for that one.
We're waiting on that one.
We're waiting on that one. And by the way, we are a nonprofit, so you can use this as far as we'll send you we're a 501c3 and it's tax exempt. So all donations are tax exempt.
Ed, I use this. Friends in Recovery is my home group.
Yeah.
So, if I was going to a home group meeting, if I was going to 5-7 meetings a week, I'd be putting a couple bucks in the basket every
Yeah.
single time I go. That's just
Absolutely.
standard. That's
Yeah.
that's the way that's how AA has made it since 1935, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And that's how we're going to make it, Bambi, is just those donations, those donations. And Bambi, I'm telling you, I think Bambi, you probably work 5 hours a day on Friends in Recovery, if not more. Seriously.
except Bobby Flay Day.
Except Bobby
Thursdays,
Flay Day. Yes.
I
Yes.
slack a little on
That's
Thursdays.
it. That's it. and you wonder why she's sober, guys, because she does the work and she watches Bobby Flay. So anyway, so that's a little bit about that. I do want to let you guys know the podcast hotline is up and running. We got that going. I had to work a few kinks out. But it is up and running. And that phone number is 800-989-6504. And that'll be flashed up here on the screen. Carl put that on the screen. That's 800-989-6504. Or you can email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. That's help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. And
and that is a non-emergent number.
Yes,
so we
that
can
is.
you can call, you can text.
Yep. Text, call, whatever comes right to me, Jersey Ed, which is probably my name is not up here. So I will have to change. You're going to see this right in mid show. We're going to put Jersey Ed on the show. Jersey Ed. All right. Just reminded me to change my name. We were on the fly here, guys. So
We're always on the fly, Ed.
Exactly. We're missing Tiff today, right? Tiff isn't feeling well. And also we're missing Jeff, Bambi. It's you and I.
Oh, I know.
We don't know what we're going to do. What should we talk about? I know a lot about like Jeeps. You want to talk about Jeeps today?
No, but I'm ready to answer the question of the week when we get to it.
All right,
So I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, I know you have. I know. And it's a good one. It's a really good one. We're going to get that into there to a minute. But Bambi, the Roar trip is August 26th to the 28th.
Yes.
And
Recovery on a raft.
Yes.
We need to support our guys.
What do you think that is, Bambi? What do you think that is?
Oh, you guys just lay on the river, float down, get to the end.
And just hang out and talk recovery and smoke cigars. It's like, we turn the motor on and then our captain flies us down and we get there, right?
Yeah. Right at the end, you hop on some, less equipped machinery and float in to take pictures.
That's it. Exactly. Well, that's not quite it.
No. Tell us what it is, Ed.
I'm going to tell you what it is because it's 2 weeks away, guys. And we appreciate some donations if you can for the Roar trip, Recovery on a Raft. This is the second annual Recovery on a Raft. It's growing. I think there was 4 of us last year. There's 5. It grew by 1. This isn't for everybody. Last year was a 100-mile trip. This year we figured we cut it down to a 50-mile trip, right? It's still pretty grueling. We're going to have to do 10 to 12 miles a day, except for the last day. On Sunday, we have to do 19 miles on the river, paddling and rowing. And guys, that consists of us waking up in the morning, right? Packing all our stuff, putting it back into the kayaks, closing up the kayaks, jumping on the river and paddling downriver, right? Then when we get to our campsite, we unpack it all, set it all up, hope there's not going to be any rain, and then go to sleep. We eat food out of these pouches. We're drinking water out of the river. We use life straws, so we drink water out of the river. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's 100% fun, but it's definitely a challenge. It's a challenge. It's not just kind of we're kicking back and listening to some old Jethro Tull songs and the Beatles going down. That's not what we're doing. We really had to train for this and we're pushing. So it's a second annual Roar trip, Recovery on a Raft. It's Ronnie M, Doug S, who else? Johnny R, not our Johnny Fencer, Johnny R, and Chris C and myself. I do want to talk about Chris C real quick. He's crazy. Yeah, he used to do some of our meetings. You guys might know him as Cuddles. He is going to go down. This just deserves a donation right here, guys. Chris C is going to go down the river 50 miles on a paddleboard.
That's insane.
A paddleboard. Okay. Is that crazy or what? right,
I
Bambi?
sent my donation, but I want to issue that to. I want to sponsor Cuddles. So
Cuddles, you
yeah,
got to sponsor
I'm
Cuddles.
sponsoring him.
Wow. Wow. Who else wants to sponsor Cuddles?
That's right.
and a quick story, John R., my best friend. I tried to get him to come on the show so we can talk a little about recovery on the raft today. He I love John. So last year we did the 100 miles, right? He's there with us. He goes and he brings his boat, he buys a boat, he pulls his boat down to the boat ramp, and we take pictures of everybody. We're all there. And I'm like, John, how long have you been on the river? Have you gone down the river? You paddled? No. He goes, the first time I'm getting this kayak is right now. So he ended up and this was last year about this time, he ended up jumping in the kayak and just going. And he had piles of like these bags on top of his kayak. It's funny. I'm going to put a picture up in the, I'll send out a picture so we can put it up on a website. So, but, and check out our website, guys. We're going to have, we'll have updates on a website at, friendsandrecoverycommunity.org. Check the website out. And also, Bambi, I'm going to be doing, on the road trip, I'm going to be doing Facebook Lives. And maybe I'll join you guys for a little bit, because that Saturday I will not be able to do this. I'll join you guys a little bit, and I'll come on the show. So real quick, Carl donated $100. He says, give my $100 to Chris Cuddles.
All right. See, I got some people for Chris coming.
So Chris got $100. Now Chris didn't get $100 donation. Chris was sponsored by Carl.
I sponsored him too. I want mine to be sponsored for Cuddles.
That's $200. How much you giving for Cuddles?
I'm going to give him specifically 25.
All right. So $125 for Cuddles already. Can we up that a little bit? Who else wants to give money towards Cuddles? Who wants to? He is, guys, he's on a paddle board.
I can't imagine.
A fucking paddle board. He calls me up the other day and says, do you have room in your kayak? I'm like, fuck no. You want to take a paddle board? You strap that shit on that paddle board and you go on down yourself. He started laughing. And, but who's going to sponsor Cuddles? Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Bambi. We appreciate it. And
but Ed, you haven't talked about the best part of the trip yet.
Oh yes. The best part of the trip is when we smoke cigars,
baby.
When we smoke cigars?
No. Yeah, well, you can smoke cigars at the campfire. The very last night, me and Cindy and hopefully a bunch of us, Sandy, are going to come and join you at the campfire.
Yes, you are. And I was just
after you shower.
Yes, after we shower. After being 3 days on the river without a shower. and we're gonna have a bunch of our friends in recovery come meet us up in New Jersey. If you would like to meet us, just send us an email at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast or call the 800 number 989-6504, and I can give you the landing areas. We'll have to vet you 100%. Pat you down and send you through a metal detector before you come through, but we can do it. So,
but if you have graham crackers, Hershey bars, or marshmallows, you're in. I'll be running the gate.
That's it. Exactly. So I'm really excited about that, Bambi. And I know we're spending a little bit more time than normal on this, but it's 2 weeks away. And we're really excited, and we're really kind of got to push for this and do it again. So, and it will be, listen, this was a dream a couple years ago when Chris and I, Sweets is here. Mike. Hey, Mike, good morning. Sweets was our old producer, Mike Wilson. He's listening. And I believe right before COVID, we were in his studio and we planned the Roar trip. I think Chris and I even did a special episode, if I'm not mistaken, on the Roar trip. And it was in Sweet's studio. So thanks for listening, Mike.
And
so
got
that
Kathy
is it.
On watching, and Jordan just sent me an instant message asking if we were on. So she'll be here in a second.
All right, Jordan will be here. Yes, we are on, guys. It was weird. It was like nobody was on at the beginning. So
well, Where's
So
Corey? Corey's always on.
I know Corey's the first one to say
I
something.
know.
So, we only got 3 people on. It'll grow. It'll grow. So, this week's topic, guys, believe it or not, step 8 again. And as I was talking before, Tiffany's not feeling well today, right? There she is. Good morning, Jordan. Here she is.
There she is.
All right. Our super fan. She's going to be the next podcast host on here.
Yeah.
Right. And we're
needs
keeping
to
an eye
be.
on there. Tony's there. Tony too. Good morning, Tony. So Tiffany's
Always worry about Tony if he's not here.
I know. He's always early too. Tony's always on time.
Well, he is in the hospital.
Yeah, we'll give that to him, guys. He's on time.
I mean, he could have coordinated with the nurses and the doctors ahead of time and just said, listen, I got my morning glory meeting at 8, the podcast, or,
10. Yeah. And that's it. Tony, do you run that hospital over there? Tell him who's boss.
That's right.
Yeah. It's because you're laying in that bed. It doesn't matter. You can push them around and tell them what's going on over there, Tony. So,
he said yesterday he was making his own bed and stuff. He didn't want them to have to do it.
Get away from me. I'll make my own bed. I can see him doing that, guys.
He did. He literally did.
I know. But so Tiff isn't feeling well. And as last week, as we closed, I did say Jeff was going to be with us, but Jeff had a kind of an emergency appointment, so he could not be here today. So I believe Jeff will be doing the last show of the month, which is an extra Tuesday. So we will have a clinical look at step 8 with Jeff the last Tuesday of the month.
Love me some Jeff when he's on here.
So hang on for some amazing recovery. And stay tuned for some amazing recovery. And do you want to go over some of the literature? Bambi, you're going to be using the 12 and 12, the 12-step spiritual journal, and a woman's way through the 12 steps. I've got the and you're using the daily reflection too, because we're going to read something from daily reflection. So see you later, Carl. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for your donation, Carl. And then I'll be using the Life Recovery Workbook and the 12 and 12. And I have no sober shout outs. I had a really cool email last week, and that filled me up for the month. You have, all right, good, baby.
I do. Tony's got 2 years.
Tony with 2 years. All right. Tony,
yesterday
2
was
years.
2 years. And we have Michael G with 7 months.
Yep. Michael.
But Tony, 2 years, all in Friends in Recovery, by the way.
Yes.
This is his home group. This is where he's never done live. He's always been Friends in Recovery. He has. And we've seen him grow. I'm going to tell a quick story about Tony, right? When he contacted me a long, long time ago, I gave him the 2 years ago, and I gave him the Friends in Recovery stuff, and he came on. He was laying in bed. Do you remember that? He was laying in bed. Were you here at the beginning? Oh, no, you weren't. So Tony was laying in bed and he wouldn't get out of bed. And next thing you know, you see him propped up a little bit and then him walking around a little bit. And now he's driving his car. He's at a new house now. All kinds of stuff's going. He's at the hospital now. We're in a speedy recovery, Tony. But he works like crazy.
He works like crazy.
A huge, busy trauma nurse in a busy ER. I mean, I can't even imagine. Yeah. And he's got a new dog, Luke, and he's going to adopt another one.
Wow, Tony, that's recovery at its finest, right there. From not wanting to be part of society, right? I had him and I had so many talks. Then to this, like every day, I look forward to coming on our meetings, and hearing Tony's words of wisdom. Like they're short, they're quick, but they're accurate and deadly, right? That's what I always say about Tony's share. So if you guys want to get on some of the Friends of Recovery meetings, you can go to our webpage. It's help at Friends of Recovery podcast. No, I'm sorry. That's the email. It's Friends of Recovery community.org.
Right. Which is not 100% up and running yet, but you can get all the information on our Facebook page, Friends in Recovery Community of Support.
Yes. And just join the Facebook page and you can get all that. Or you can email us and we can send you a schedule too. And if you do email us, we can put you on an email list that will give you all the updates, probably weekly on the updates.
But join our Facebook page anyway, because it's amazing. And we give daily support to people, and we're there. We're there if you need us. And it's a great thing. And the Telegram app too. The Telegram app. It's under the Telegram app. It's a free app on your phone. It's the Telegram app, and we're Friends in Recovery Community under that. And it's a daily way to keep up with all of us. And for us to keep up with you, we give sober shout outs, we
Yep.
give inspiration, and we're
Yep.
just there to say, hey.
We give support. We help each other through everything. So,
And
so
of
that's,
course the Instagram and the Snapchat, and we're
Yep.
just everywhere.
yeah, come look for
TikTok.
us, guys. We're growing, guys. We're growing. So look for us on all social media, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star review. And share, because it's important. That's how this show gets out there. That's how everybody, kind of finds out about us. So don't forget all that stuff. So, all right, guys, here it is. The question of the week.
Question of the week.
All right. Thank you. All right. The question of the week is, if you could shop for free, for all you ladies and me too, I like shopping too. If you could shop for free at one store, one time only, what one would you choose? If you could shop at it for free at one store, one time only, which one would you choose? That's a good question, right?
It's a good question. And I had to, you know me, I overthink everything. So I'm thinking, okay, do I want to shop for practical? Do I want to shop for pleasure? Do I want to shop? And so for me, I decided, listen, what I'm doing, one time, one shot only. I'm going to Tiffany and Company.
Whoa.
And I am stocking up on everything sparkly, because then I can resell it, and I can donate to my favorite causes. Friends in Recovery being one of them.
There you
and
go.
A lot of animal places. So.
Oh yeah, yes.
And
absolutely.
I keep a little bling for myself.
A lot of bling for yourself.
A lot of bling, because it's free one time. So
one time free. And let me ask you that: if the question read, you could shop there for free forever, would it be Tiffany?
No.
Then where would it be?
I don't know, because I would have to find somewhere that I could incorporate everything, so it has to be somewhere where I can go. I can get my gas, my grocery. Hell, I might end up at Walmart.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds crazy, but I mean, if I'm talking a lifetime, and I can have it for a lifetime, I don't get one big spree anywhere, but I can go like once a week somewhere. In Florida, when I lived in Florida, it would have been Publix, know, but I don't know.
So a food store, maybe that sounds about right. It's good. Yeah. Because we have to eat every day. I would have to agree with you. I'm going to say a food store would be we have Harris Teeters out here. So I would have to say Harris Teeters, because they do have gas, food, that would be my thing. But my one-time store, this is a tough one, because I would have to say a running store.
Really?
A running store. Yes. I would have to say my one-time
splurge store.
Yeah. I would have to say a running store, and then not any particular one. I would just support my local running store and take all their shit for free.
You could get a lot of people running with you.
Yes, I could get a lot of people running with me. I just went on a run with my club this morning, and I got to tell you a quick story about that. And this is all because of recovery, because it made me feel good. Right. So I joined this Johns Island running club. We meet every Saturday morning at 7:30 and Sunday morning at 6 a.m. here in Johns Island. And we go running. It's a couple guys and a couple girls that go out every week with me. So they text me last night while I was getting off the plane. I had a long night. It was, and they say, do you mind if we run at 6:30 instead of 7:30? I'm like, yeah, I mean, who am I guess, like, why, I'm like, they're reaching out to me. I'm like, I said, yeah, okay, not a problem. We'll meet at, 6:30 instead of 7:30. And I kind of put the phone in my pocket. I'm like, hey, I got friends.
And to let you be on my show, not running.
Yes, exactly.
My meeting.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. Exactly. Jordan says, so predictable, Ed Chancho.
Right.
Of course, a running store, right? Come on. What else? Where else would I go? Come on.
I think she agrees with my bling.
Yes.
Jordan, I'm going to hook you up when I get that shopping spree.
That's it. So we'll have to bail her out of jail first, because
because nobody's going to give me that
nobody's giving us that shopping spree. So, God. Anyways, but so let us know what your stores are, guys. So the one-time store and the all-time store. So the all-time store would definitely be a food. I mean, practically it has to be, Target or Target's good. You get like a superstore. But yeah, absolutely. So that would be my stuff. So, all right. So that is it for all the stuff. We're going to touch a little bit on step 8 because we've been killing step 8 this whole month. I figured we would just have a little fun, talk about the Roar trip. We've got donations already. Look, we raised $125 for Chris Cuddles, and we can give you guys updates. So there's 5 of us going. There's Ronnie, there's Doug, there's John, there's Chris, and there's me. 5 of us going. All right. So you guys donate to your favorite friend in recovery on that Roar trip. So far, Chris is up $125. Okay, guys.
Yeah, Ed, you better push it because
I know
that would be pretty bad if Cuddles was the only one that ended up with specific sponsors.
I know. And when you make that donation, make sure you put who you want to sponsor in there, guys. It's Ed, Doug, John, Ronnie, or Chris, and we'll put that in the show notes when you make that donation. So guys, come on, give me I have to beat Chris Cuddles. I have to be. So what? He's doing it on a paddleboard. Who cares? Right? Who cares?
Ed's taking a speedboat. He's doing a paddleboard.
That's
but
right.
Hey,
That's right. Exactly. So anyways, all right, that's enough of that. But make those donations, guys. Step 8. Here we go. Made a list. Here we go for what? The 3rd week? Is this the 3rd week already? We're talking about step 8?
Yes.
Yeah, the 3rd week. And
we have 5 weeks this month. So
we do have 5 weeks. But it's nice to have Jeff in there to break this up. Right? Because now I don't even know what to talk about step 8. So we're just going to wing it. We're going to see where it goes. We might even say that Jordan said her one time or all time is the same. Bloomingdale's. All right.
I kind of like that.
Wow.
Jordan's got
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's it. Very good, Jordan. Set your standards high. Who needs food anyways, right? I mean, you can probably find that somewhere.
Well, you buy enough on Bloomingdale's and then you can resell it and you have money for food.
There
That's what
you
I bought
go.
with the Tiffany and Company. I'm selling that stuff.
Sell it. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. This is a very powerful step, as we've spoken in the past. This is a step for, I believe, when I did it, and I'm going to do it again this month because that's what I pledged to do is do a step a month also along with it. Become willing, right? You have these 2 words in this very short 1-sentence step. We made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. All persons became willing to them all, right? Amends to them all. So this is, again, a deep kind of cleaning step, right? Or not step, but not even deep cleaning, but a setup for your deep cleaning. It's like getting all your cleaning supplies. Like, I have to clean this, I have to clean that. Or even if let's relate it to a car. You have to get shit to shine your chrome. You have to get stuff to shine the car. You got to get stuff to wax it. You got to shampoo the carpets. You got to get it all ready to go, because the next step, you're going to apply all that stuff. And step 9, we were going to apply all that.
But Ed, it's not just cleaning your bedroom and it's not just cleaning your kitchen.
No.
Or because you've got to clean the bathroom and you've got to clean the shower. And so it's not just people, it's institutions, finances, places. I mean, it incorporates a lot.
Yes.
And you have to become willing to make amends
Become
to
willing.
all of them. Become willing. That means truthfully willing, not just put it on paper, but you in your heart are willing.
Yeah. Well, that's where this is where we get ready. Like Bambi was saying, become willing. This is where we get ready. We buy all those cleaning supplies for every part of the house, or all those shiny parts for all your cars. You want to shine the engine up, the whatever, the tires. You have to clean all those parts, right? And that's the best way to get this. You're gathering all that information. You're gathering that information, and you became willing at any cost, not at any cost. You became willing to do what you have to do to make yourself feel better, right? To write it down, not to make them feel better. And of course, if we're going to harm somebody, that's in step 9. We talk to our sponsor and we figure out another way of doing this. But we write it down, even if I'll tell you, my ex-wife still has a restraining order against me, right? we see each other, we talk to each other. When family, she might have forgot that it was there. I really don't care. It's there. But that's a situation like, if that's a situation you have to be careful of. That's where you have to talk to your sponsor.
Right.
You put them on the list, but you have to figure out how to do it.
How to make amends.
Yeah, because you can't call them up. You can't knock on their door. You'll get arrested. Hands down, you get arrested. You know what I mean? So,
but they got to go on the list, Ed. So
they gotta.
It's all the things, and
Yeah.
again, for me, people were easy. It's like, how do you go back and do the other things, the institutions, even you have to be honest in your heart. I mean, so this is a true willingness. I'm going to do something with these people. Something is coming.
Yep. Yep. So give us an example, Bambi, of what maybe you put it, not just the people, the places or things. What were some of the places or things that you had on your list?
I have to, I'll tell on myself. Now the whole world will know. When I was 16 years old, and that was before alcohol became involved, but according to my sponsor, anything that's still in the back of your mind has to go down there, because it's got to clear out for you to have a willing heart to move forward. So 16 years old, I shoplifted lip gloss from Dean's Pharmacy in Galion, Ohio. That long closed, been closed for probably 30 years, maybe longer, probably all dead. I hope no one is listening. That's it. If anyone's listening, call me. I'll make an amends. Let me know where you're at. But for me, that was hard to admit to myself, because I didn't steal during my, for me, I didn't steal during my course of my drinking. That wasn't something I had to resort to do, although I stole lots of other ways, time, other things, but money wise. But I shoplifted when I was 16 years old, and that had to go on my list.
Yeah.
And in step 9, my sponsor had to help me figure out how to make amends to that. To them.
Yeah. And this is a key step, guys. If you don't have if you don't have a sponsor by step 4 and 5, you're pretty much screwed when you get up to here, because you're not doing this on your own, guys.
Oh no,
you're just not doing it on your own. You can make a list on your own, hands down, easily. You can make that list, but is it thorough? Is it did you really become willing to write the people down, even the people that you may not even want to write down, right? Or they're dead, or and you bring something up, Bambi. I when I was younger, when I was in, I think it was 11th or 12th grade, I was drinking and using cocaine by that time in 12th and 11th, 12th grade. We went into New York City. We got wasted on the bus. This was a school function. We got wasted on the bus. And we went, I forgot what we were doing, but we did something. And then I was showing off in front of, there was a bunch of girls with us. So I stole, on those, you've never been in New York City, but you will be in New York City in a couple weeks.
I will be.
Yeah. So they have these outside, like, flower, like, and fruit stands and everything. So at the beginning, I grabbed a couple roses, and I started walking down the sidewalk. And as soon as I got past the store, I got smacked on the back with a baseball bat, right? Because I stole the flowers. Because I didn't pay for them. I just grabbed them. We ran.
Grabbed them.
The guy. I don't know where this guy came from, but I got whacked with a baseball bat, and it hurt. I mean, it hurt. Of course, I didn't tell anybody. Thank God nothing got broken, or I didn't get ended up in a hospital. This guy
weren't that first person he'd chase down the road after stealing some roses.
Oh no. But that's a situation that I had to put on my 8th step. So, and then become willing to make amends. Now, how we do that is again, we got to talk to our sponsors and work that through, and
Jordan says she's surprised to hear that reconciling with institutions was harder versus people. I think for me, that's because I wanted so much to make amends to the people that were in my life. I wanted that. I don't want to have to figure out how to deal with Dean's Pharmacy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that because it's harder work. You can go up to somebody and say, "Hey, Bambi, I'm sorry I stole $20 out of your wallet when we were, whatever." But it's harder to go to an institution or to a or a place, like, I can't tell you countless times how many times I pissed on somebody's property because I drank way too fucking much, right? I mean, how do you make amends to that? You just don't do it anymore, basically. But that's kind of
Right.
what you do.
You do a living amends kind
you're
of
living
to be
amends.
better.
Yeah, exactly. So there are ways around all that, but I believe, and I have to agree with you. I think it is. But the other thing too, I think also when we make amends to people, I think in the back of our mind, they're gonna, oh yeah, what a good guy this is. But that's not how we look at that. We make amends just to make amends and move on. And like Tiffany said in the last couple of shows, it doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter how hard they come down on you. It doesn't matter if they're screaming or yelling at you. You have to just listen
Right.
and then walk away. Because this is not about, I mean, it's about me, but it's more about them and moving on. Because eventually when we apologize to somebody and we make, and again, this is step 9. We're these steps go hand in hand. But when we're making that amends to somebody, right? It's really about the healing part.
Right.
Not the pointing the fingers, yeah, it was you. And they might say, yeah, I knew you stole that money, Bambi. I knew you stole that $20 from me. And you just got to just apologize and move on.
That's right. You can't, you don't respond to that. So,
Exactly.
but I, in the back of my mind, I think maybe your sponsor needs to know that you were pissing on lawns, and maybe some old lady's lawn work is in your future.
There you go. I like that. Absolutely. Well, he knows that. Here's the other thing too. I have to make amends this morning because in my morning run, I drink so much water. I'm peeing in the woods all the time. I'm like, but that's nature, it's in the middle of nature there. So
that's acceptable, I think.
Yeah. If I'm a runner, I don't. Yeah, for guys, it's acceptable. So anyways.
A little bit of unfairness there, but
exactly. So Bambi, can you read the daily reflections for us today? I thought it was pretty good. So
yeah, it's spot on actually.
Yeah.
So August 13th, a clean sweep. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 77. As I face the 8th step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous 7 steps came together: courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. I could not muster the strength required for this task at the beginning, which is why this step reads, became willing. I needed to develop the courage to begin, the honesty to see where I was wrong, a sincere desire to set things right, thoroughness in making a list, and willingness to take the risk required for true humility. With the help of my higher power in developing these virtues, I completed this step and continued to move forward in my quest for spiritual growth.
Spiritual growth, for quest and spiritual growth. That's what we're looking for here, guys. And that moving forward in my quest for spiritual growth. And that's what we all want. When we come into this program, we may not know it, right? I just came into this program to stop drinking, right? And that was it. But the rewards and this and just understanding how we can grow spiritually, mentally, physically, all that. But that spiritual growth is something that comes from, to me, it comes from inside. Just like the joy and the peace and the love comes from inside, right? That spiritual growth. And then it flourishes out to others because others see. I mean, we got everybody on the Facebook Live. Everybody watches us here. We're doing something right in our spiritual and our personal and all our lives. We have to be. I mean, obviously, if people are listening and the show's been running that long and we're doing what we're doing, it's because of these steps. But
the life-changing program. These steps are life-changing.
Absolutely. But Bambi, I like this, the first paragraph of the second part here. It says, as I faced the 8th step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous 7 steps came together, right? And we've been talking about that. All this stuff has to come together to be right where we're at step 8, right? Everything had to happen perfectly. And I don't like using that word because that's a character defect of mine, but it had to work perfectly to get right to this step. Courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. Like, I've never did that in my life. I had never had the courage. I never had the honesty, never had the sincerity. That's for sure.
No.
Right. And willingness. Fuck, man. If I could point it off on somebody,
it's all about me.
Go do it. Yeah. Yeah. And then the thoroughness and thoroughness, you learn that in recovery. I learned it in recovery anyways, Bambi. I don't know about you, but
yes.
I'm still learning it, the thoroughness in recovery, because the more thorough I am and the more willing I am, the more free and the more spiritual growth I get. Right?
Absolutely. You just wake up and you when these things present themselves to you, I mean, it just, you feel different. Your heart feels different. Your body feels different. Your mind feels different.
Yeah. And then you become willing, right? And then it says you become willing. So that means see, this step we just don't do one and done. Of course, we do the 10th, 11th, 12th. We're helping people. We're taking a daily inventory, blah, blah, blah. But this step, we have to become willing in all parts of our life, whatever it is. Like I have to become willing to listen to my wife of something maybe I did wrong. I have to become willing to be okay with that. Maybe I did or I didn't. I can't say, no, it's you. I told you should have did it this way. No, become willing just to be at peace with myself, just to be okay with myself, and just to be, just to be there and present and be okay with whatever is handed out to me,
That's right. And step 10 tells us we do the step 8 throughout the day. So we have to become willing to make amends every single time that one of our character defects pops up and we realize either we've been dishonest or we haven't had courage or, we haven't been sincere. Yeah. So this is a lifelong practice.
It is. It is a lifelong. It's not one and done. And this, all the steps aren't just one and done. You know what I mean? You have to keep going over them when you're ready. I think I used the scenario of a friend of mine who said, it's like you're working the steps are like Chris Cuddles, who has $125 donation. I have fucking zero right now.
Ahead of you.
Yeah, I know. Well, let me ask you this before I go into Chris Cuddles. If I donate $150, does that count?
No, only if you donate to someone else. You got to donate to Chris Cuddles and then it'll set your bar higher.
Guys, I need some money, guys. This show's not even over yet. And Chris is up already. I mean, come on.
Paddleboard, for God's sakes, Ed. Come on. You had to up your game if you wanted to beat Chris Cuddles.
I know, right? Good Lord. So anyways, but Chris always says working the steps is like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. You start at one end, you work your way through, and then you start back again because it needs to be painted again. It doesn't take 5 minutes to paint that bridge. It takes a while. It takes a while to get through these steps, and it takes a while to move through them. And then we got to do it again. And of course, it gets a little bit easier as you keep going through the steps because we don't make those same mistakes again. And of course, we're going to make mistakes. Of course, we're going to make mistakes.
Of course.
We're not going to be perfect. And there's going to be times that we have ups and downs in life, and there will be times that we do things we should have not done. Maybe not stealing flowers or stealing, whatever you were stealing. Yeah, lip gloss, stuff like that. But maybe pissing somebody off, maybe giving somebody the finger when I shouldn't have, and but that eats our soul away, guys. Even that little bit, screaming at somebody right in the car, that fucking sucks the life out of our souls. And this is something that we don't want to do. We want to avoid all that at all costs, so our souls can just live freely and cleanly, right? And again, we do that sometimes. But here's the thing: if you get sucked into that every time somebody cuts you off, I mean, there's going to be asshole drivers out there, guys. Your spirituality is going to keep dumping down. Next thing you know, you're going to kick the dog. Next thing you know, you're going to yell at the wife or the husband. You're going to get pissed off because the newspaper didn't get put on the porch. You're going to piss off because they made your sandwich with domestic ham instead of imported ham. All these little things are going to piss you off. Believe me,
it's a life program.
Yeah, been there, done that. I've noticed, Bambi, the last couple of days I've been getting aggravated with myself. I've been away. I've been on a business trip, and that's a little irritating too because I'm not with my family. But it's okay, it's what we have to do in life. And I just been noticing I've been getting irritated, and I was like gripping the steering wheel the other day, trying to get to an appointment. I wasn't late or anything, but I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I going 90 miles an hour? I'm not late. Why am I gripping the steering wheel like I'm going to rip it out and throw it at somebody? Like, what's going on, Ed? What's going on? So I had to do some meditation, some thinking, and I calmed myself down. It was an hour drive. I calmed myself down and I figured out what it was. It was just, I wasn't present. It really was. It was because I was not present at the time. I was making things up in my head about people who probably has no idea even what I'm thinking about them, right?
No,
And
sure they don't.
No, zero. And that's what it was about. So I had to come back to reality. I had to really take a deep breath and say, I have to just be where I'm at, right? And when we do step 8, become willing, we have to be right here, become willing to write those names down. Write those names down. And then that'll give us again that spiritual growth, all that. Yes, exactly. So well, that's a show. I have nothing else to say in step 8. I'm just kidding. I do want to get into, I know you have a couple other things you have your couple other what did you have? Where's your
the financial thing has always intrigued me, because what if you have all these financial places, you haven't paid this, you haven't paid that, but what about all the ones in the past? Now, do you list all those? What do you do with those? You have to list everything. So if you've ever done it, but I think the financial aspect kind of intrigues me. And I think a lot of newcomers might feel like, that's kind of overwhelming.
How do we do that? Yeah. Overwhelming. How do we do that? Yeah. And that's actually a good question. Like, how do we do that? Again, it's individualized. I don't know exactly what everybody's situation is. I'll be honest with you. I took the easier, softer way out with my my bills. I claimed bankruptcy a long, long time ago in before I got into recovery. And I had to do it when I got into recovery too. But that's the easier, softer way, and but I had no other choice.
Right. But you're still that's still part of, you're still making amends by doing that. You're still, it's still a process. But I just feel like that's kind of an overwhelming thing when you're trying to list all of that,
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah. Hands down it is. But again, guys, talk to your sponsor about all this, because he or she will definitely help you through all this. And it'll make life a lot easier. And you know why? Because they've been through it before. Right. They've been through it before. They understand it. And if they haven't been through it before, they'll ask their sponsors. They'll come up with a solution with you, what's going to be the best for you, as far as that goes. Yeah. But the financial piece is definitely tough. I want to read some questions, Bambi, on the Life Recovery Workbook. Number 1, I think we read it last week, but how have I failed to, and these are questions about step 8. How have I failed to respect the property of others? Well, obviously you and I just talked about that. That was number 1. And this is just a little checklist, I guess, of people, places, and things that we can, kind of write down, making restitution. Have I been so harmed or condemned by others that I have avoided responsibility for myself? By whom and why? Have I been so harmed or condemned by others that I have avoided responsibility for myself? That's a tough question.
Well, for me, Ed, it's again, and the big book will tell you this. If you're upset with a situation, if you're feeling angry, resentful, any of that, you have to take a deep dive inside yourself, because somewhere or another, it's going to come back to you. What is your responsibility in it?
Yeah.
So even if you think that's the worst person, I'm not making amends to them, they have just been evil to me, you still have to, you can figure out where it comes back to you. Some of it's going to come back. You're going to have a part in that. If you're feeling any of those character defects pop up somewhere inside of you, it's going to come back.
It's going to come back. Yeah. And you know what? Yeah. And you don't want that to come back to you. You want to get it done and over with. And so
you can move on.
And again, become everywhere, become willingness and thoroughness. It just, it says it all throughout this step, become willing. That's what you have to do. And my suggestion is, if you're not ready to become willing to write anybody down on this, on a piece of paper, I would probably go back to step 7 and figure out like where you had to kind of do what you had to do as far as step 7
or go back to step 4
step
and
4
figure
and
out where
5.
your character defects are maybe popping into play with it.
Exactly. Yeah. But we have to figure out, well, step 7, we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. So if you can't write that piece of something on a piece of paper, there is a shortcoming. And again, these steps are in the order for a reason, because if you're having a hard time with step 8, look back at step 7. We humbly ask God to remove all our shortcomings, right? So that's when we ask God to remove all our shortcomings, we're ready for step 8. We're ready. No shortcomings. We're not gonna even have any character defects when we're writing this list of people down. We're not apologizing at this point, guys.
No,
we're just writing a list. And
then you're going to figure out what to do with them with your sponsor. You're going to figure out. And Jordan had a great question. How do you know making amends with particular certain people is healthy or more harmful in your recovery?
That's a great question.
See, and again, that's where we're going to list them all.
Yep.
We're going to list everything. Then we're going to figure out what to do in step 9 with our sponsors.
Yeah, because step 9 says, what's step 9?
Made direct amends to those people we had harmed. Unless when doing so would cause themselves or others pain.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, again, Jordan, to answer your question, that's where, again, our sponsor comes in. And, this is step 8. We're just listing things.
And everyone makes the list.
Yeah. Yes. Make a list now. Make your list up and put it up in here. So
absolutely. Everyone makes a list.
We want to see your list.
Step 9.
Yeah. But no, that is a good question. But again, these are a lot of questions that have to be worked with your sponsor directly.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, because I know my sponsor knows me inside. He's been my sponsor for 25 years. I have a unique kind of relationship with my sponsor because him and I used together. 5 years went by. I found him again. He's sober 5 years or 8 years or whatever it was. And then now he's my sponsor for 25 years, and so we have a little bit of a different, and I'm blessed to have that, I'm blessed to, because he knows, he knows, Andy knows exactly, I knew what I did in the past, because I was his freaking running mate half the time.
You can't bullshit him.
No, I can't. So, and he knows when I'm lying, he knows I'm holding something back, but that's okay. But he's, but that's where the sponsorship comes in. And even if you don't have a sponsor for 25 years, if you have a sponsor that knows you, or at least knows the program, they're going to guide you through this stuff.
My sponsor is amazing. And I had to get a second sponsor, and I was devastated after I lost the first one. And I thought for sure I wouldn't find anyone. And I have an amazing sponsor I'm going to keep for 25 years. So
there you go. There you go. That's it. That's what we all try. We strive for, is to keep our sponsors around. And again, the other thing too, while we're on the topic of sponsors, especially this step, right? It's 4 and 5, 8 and 9. If you're not comfortable with your sponsor, you don't necessarily have to do these 2 steps or the 4 and 5 and 8 and 9 with your sponsor. I was very comfortable with my sponsor, but my sponsor said, Eddie, why don't you run this by your therapist? I was like,
sure.
Why? I'm
or
thinking
a priest.
A priest, right? But for me, the therapist was amazing, because the therapist got to know me inside and out because of 4 and 5, right? And I have a feeling he's going to say, run 8 and 9 past your therapist too, because he knows, my sponsor knows me. And then what I did was, after I did 4 and 5 with my therapist, I ended up talking to my sponsor, about some things. And he said, did you leave anything off? Me leave something off? Are you out of your mind? No way. And then there was like 4 things I left off. He goes, I told you so. I was like, damn. No, he didn't say I told you so. But again, I think for me, doing it that way was great, because I had a professional helping me. And then I had a backup, because I went back to my sponsor. Yeah. He said, did you do it thoroughly? And I thought I did. And he said, what about this, this, and this? Did you tell him about that? I'm like, no, I forgot to tell him that. Eddie, you didn't forget to tell him. You just didn't want to tell him. I'm like, well, right? He goes, no, that's not the thing. That's not the purpose to this. So, Another question: what excuses have I used for not looking at my behaviors? Oh shit! What
Well, the
excuses?
list is endless, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
we could
come
do a whole
on.
show on that, right? Like,
Absolutely. We probably should do a show on that. Mark that down for the next year after the steps, right?
I know. Yeah. So some of the excuses I used not to look at my behavior. Number one, I probably wasn't ready. I know that's not an excuse, but you know, that they hurt me, I didn't hurt them, right?
Right.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, the blame game.
The blame game. The blame game is huge for this right here.
Huge.
Yeah, right. And if you think that you're gonna get through this step trying to blame others and dissecting it, no, and you're not gonna do it right. It doesn't matter, guys. Remember, when there's a conflict amongst our spouses, amongst other people, there's two sides always, guys. There's actually three sides. There's theirs, mine, and what's in between, right?
Right.
And what's the right, what is really right. So if you're blaming people, you're not going to get through this step. You're not becoming willing, right? You're not becoming willing. Right. So
hey, Tony says he used his therapist for step 4 and 5. She was great. And then he realized he had to put her on step 8 because he hit his alcoholism while trying to work. But how many of us do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. That's a great example of
became willing. He became willing to acknowledge that he had done that and to make amends.
Yeah.
Amazing work right here.
Yeah, it is. Tony is one of those. He's one of those unicorns in recovery. No, he's just a great guy, and it's people like this that you get inspiration from, right? Mm-hmm. And this is on meeting. We hear this on meetings day in and day out from Tony. Guys, go to a meeting. This is not stuff that Bambi and I are making up, right? This is stuff that we learned in a meeting. This is stuff that we learned personally because we've worked these steps. This is stuff that we've talked about with other people. We did not invent this shit that we're talking about. We're taking it from our sponsors, from their sponsors, from other people's in the rooms, and making it our own. Bambi, it's just our own twist on it. We did not develop this shit. We did not perfect it. We did not do anything with it except for adapt it into our lives and make it work so we can have spiritual growth. That's why we did
and
this.
Stay sober.
And stay sober. Yeah.
That's sober. Got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Bambi, I think we covered this topic pretty well.
Right.
I think we went up and down step 8. I think the next week, if we're going to do this, we might as well just make our list right on the air, right on the podcast. I mean, we have like 10 more shows on step 8. Is that how many more shows we have left?
I think we have one show on tradition 8 and tradition one 8. Show a clinical look.
Yeah. So next week, guys, is going to be tradition 8. We're going to talk about, I don't even know what tradition 8 is. So
about AA shouldn't be, it's got to be self-funded and, you give freely what you get, you got. So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's, we'll talk about that next week. And then the following week, Jeff will be on, we hope, because he's been on vacation. He had some things going on. But Bambi, anything you want to wrap up on step 8 as far as this goes? Before, because this is it. This is it as far as step 8 goes with our personal stuff. We're gonna have Jeff talk on the clinical piece, but our personal stuff. This is it.
No, I just want to encourage all the listeners and viewers and things like that to send us your questions if you have questions.
Oh, good idea. Yeah.
If you have questions on anything we've covered, or you have questions on step 8 that we didn't cover, send them in to us.
Send them in. We'll answer them as best as we can. And ask your sponsor too. You can send them in to us, definitely. But talk to your sponsor too. My thoughts on this step is, the more thorough I do it, the more that I become willing to write everything down. Guys, I don't have to go back to it, right? I don't have to it's like always looking over your shoulder. When I remember when I was a kid, right? We rented bikes down the Jersey Shore, and this one bike had handlebars sticking out. I got this really funky bike. I was in the 70s and they're late 70s, early 80s, and handbrake stuck out a little further than the handlebar. And I remember I got too close to one of the cars, and it scratched the whole side of the car. Now I was 7, 8, 9 years old, but I took that bike and rode it so fast back to the place. I kept looking over my shoulder. Oh my God, are they going to see me? Who's going to, am I going to get it right? It was that craziness.
Waiting on the baseball bat.
Waiting on a baseball bat. Yeah, I did get it years later. I got the baseball bat. You're right. But we don't need to have that feeling when we do this step in when we become willing. We don't need to have that feeling. We don't need to look over our shoulder. Should I have said that? Shouldn't I have said that? And you know what? You might get stuck there saying that to yourself, but you can always do it again. You can always say, listen, Spons, I ended up not putting whatever, and Jane on this list. I stole all kinds of money from her, or I whatever.
It's not like you're one and done. You're going to work the steps again, and things are going to come up. It's not that you want to leave them off intentionally. But after you work that step, you're going to have another list of amends because things are going to come up.
Yeah. But they're not going to be as deep as we were when we hurt people. And the other thing, it's going to be a shorter list. Also, it's going to be few and far between. That's if we practice this program right. Now, if you're
going to do our daily amends every day, we're going to become willing on a daily basis to say, hey, I was a bitch and I'm sorry. And
yes, that's in October. We're going to talk about that. How Bambi's going to be a bitch
for my birthday month.
Yes, her birthday month. So step 8, I think we summed it all up. We're just going to make a list here. We're going to write stuff down. We're going to run it past our sponsor, and that's all we're going to do. We're just going to write the list down, and that is all we're going to do. So anyways, that is all I have for today, guys. Again, Chris Cuddles, 125, Ed Chancho, Jersey Ed, 0. Let's make that difference.
So everybody, come on, donate to Chris. Let's see.
Let's see how badly you can blow me out of the water with Chris's donations. Right. So what we're talking about, if you just joined us or you kind of came in late, we'll end with this, is that we're doing Recovery on a Raft, Roar, our second annual trip, a 50-mile kayak trip down the river. We're looking for donations. Carl D from SoberPod. Shout out to SoberPod too. Carl D from SoberPod just donated $100 for Chris. He put it on Chris, and Bambi donated $25. So Carl
Chris specifically
for Chris, specifically. He's sponsoring
a paddleboard, for God's sake.
I know. But I'm Jersey Ed, guys. Doesn't that pull some clout here? Chris Cuddles versus Jersey Ed. Let me ask you this, Bambi. Does Chris Cuddles have a fucking podcast? Do you listen to him on a fucking podcast anywhere?
No, he's too busy running races in every continent or something
I know. So anyways, but we love you, Chris. So again, the Recovery on a Raft is going to be the August 26th to the 28th. We're doing 50 miles. There's 5 of us. We want you to make a donation. If it's $1, $5, $100, whatever it is, to either myself, to Chris Cuddles, to John, to Doug, or Ronnie. Ronnie's a female too. So Ronnie's the only female in there, guys. The only female that's going with
now I may have to donate some to her too.
See? Yeah. I mean, I threw that in there too. So, and the
best part is the after party.
The after party.
On the 28th. Party
join
at
us.
The campground.
Party at the campground. Cindy and Bambi will be there. Bambi's flying in this is a big to-do, guys. I don't think you guys understand this. Buckeye Bambi's flying in to Jersey to come watch us land at the campsite.
And to meet all my Jersey friends.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
Tony says maybe he'll come. So
Tony might come. Good.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Everyone's welcome. Come and join us. Bring s'mores.
That's it. Let us know. Bambi, thank you so much. Tiff, feel better. Jeff, do whatever you're doing, get it done, and make sure you're here at the end of the month.
Right.
Yeah, because you're pushing it, Jeff, really pushing it. So anyways, guys, thank you everybody on Facebook Live. We really appreciate it. And stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.